What Hey Sam, let's talk about some music. Who is your favorite Beach Boy?
I always like the band of Bruce.
Yeah, we'll talk about Bruce's band. Do you remember what Bruce's band is called?
Yeah.
What?
Bruce's Bar.
No. It's the E Street Band.
E Street Band.
Yeah. Who plays saxophone?
Clarence.
Who plays guitar and sings?
Little Steven.
Yeah. Who's the woman with the red hair? It's Bruce's wife and she sings.
Patty.
Yeah. Who plays the drums?
Max.
Yeah. Who else do we know? Do we know anybody else in the band?
Yeah.
Have we talked about Nils Lofgren?
Yeah.
What does he do?
He plays the guitar and sings.
Well, sometimes he sings, but he plays guitar, yeah.
But he does sings.
What's the guy that plays piano? What's his name?
Roy.
Yeah, that's right.
And then another one, we don't know his name.
Yeah, we always forget his name.
Yeah, and another piano name is Roy.
Yeah, that's right.
I love Roy.
Oh, do you?
And I love all of them.
I know you love all of them. Daddy loves all of them too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So, in the interest of full disclosure, first of all, sorry it's taking me so long to get this up. I've had to redo this a bunch. One, because I had several times where I just wasn't feeling it and it just wasn't coming together. Two, there wasn't any time around family being in the house and everything, and then it's been hard to get it going. I really regret not doing all 20 on that very first time. Okay, I've also had a bunch of technical problems, technical difficulties. I record with an actual camera, not a phone, and I probably should just record with a phone and make things a lot easier. But I use a shotgun mic normally, and the shotgun mic, something happened with one of the versions I was happy with, and when I got it into the computer, all the audio was super modulated, and it was really annoying to listen to. It would have been really bad if I continued. So now I'm having to work with just the mic and the camera, which is probably still not ideal, but it's just as okay as any of the audio that comes from a phone or anything like that. So I'm doing that now. So anyway, just letting you know that's how things are. You're going to see a few different versions, wardrobe changes and stuff, because I'm compiling multiple times that I've sat down to do this. And that's just how it's going to be, because that's the only way I can get this done. So let's get back to the countdown. Number 10. Speaking of disappointing, this is probably a disappointing selection to many folks, but it's just how I feel. I have Spirit in the Night off of Greetings from Asbury Park. Yeah, it's not kind of like your typical Bruce rock and roller. There's not a whole lot of depth or insight to the lyrics and everything. It's just a fun song about some debauchery in the night. But I just love how different it is actually from a lot of his other recorded output. I like the kind of jazzy R&B swing of the tune, which was probably a little more in vogue around 73. It kind of reminds me a lot actually of some of the stuff that Sir Douglas Quintet was doing on their second album, kind of messing around with jazz and R&B on a few of the songs from that one. But yeah, I just like the song. There's not really a whole lot as far as analysis is concerned about this one. I off of the 75 to 85 live collection, that particular version and other live versions that I've heard from around that time, that's another reason why I really love the song, is just how it manifests itself live. Those call and response backing vocals throughout on the recorded piece are then adopted by the audience, and it's just a prime example of how Bruce connects with his fans and his live audience. And yeah, I don't know, it's a great live track, better than it is on the album. And yeah, so that's it at number 10, Spirit in the Night. Okay, at number 9, I have the song If I Should Fall Behind off of Lucky Town from 1992. Amongst huge Bruce Springsteen fans, bigger than I am, and there are many, this is kind of a favorite. Probably a wedding song or a first dance song for a lot of hardcore Springsteen fans. We'll get to that later. But yeah, it's just a gorgeous love song. It describes two people, a couple, walking together, figuratively and literally, through life towards their future. Lyrically, it's a little bit simple by Bruce's standards, but in that way, it kind of reminds me of a lot of great love songs from the early 60s, like Sea of Love or You Send Me. But where those songs are a little bit more one-sided, this song reminds us that, it kind of takes two to tango, right? There's a give and a take to love and a successful relationship. Much like kind of Townes Van Zant's If I Needed You. Like this song says, during their walk together, if they should ever fall out of sync. A narrator says, I'll wait for you, but if I should fall behind, wait for me. But yeah, it's just a beautiful, beautiful love song. Didn't know that, actually a little quick anecdote. I let Sam watch a lot of live videos of Bruce and music videos like on YouTube. He's kind of obsessed with them, and sometimes he'll just get a hold of the phone and he'll start going through. And one night he came across, I think it was a Taylor, not me, and he came across the music video for this song. And I didn't even know it had a music video. And in second, it was weird because, this was when he wasn't with the E Street Band. And, but then their members like Little Steven and Nils and, Patty was always with him. But then Clarence, and they all each take turns stepping in and out of the frame, the view of the camera, and stepping up to the mic and singing like a lyric of the song. They kind of rotate throughout. It's so awesome, and it's live, and it's or was recorded live, and it's just so cool. It's worth checking out. I'll probably put a link down in the subscription for this video. But yeah, or did I say subscription? Description of this video. I'm such an idiot. All right, at number 8, I have Long Time Coming, which is off of Sorry for the Glare. There's no way around it. But it's off the album Devils and Dust from 2005. One of Bruce's more criminally underrated albums, underappreciated albums, I feel. Devils and Dust, it's worth noting, is an album where Bruce is singing literally with different voices. It's like his most assertive attempt at stepping into the shoes of the characters that he writes about. He would literally sing with a different voice if he thought that the character required it. There's a little bit of that going on in this song. Basically, the song, it's inside the thoughts of a father who is traveling with his family out west. At the beginning of the song, talks about the promise of opportunity, what he's traveling to, why they're traveling, where they're going. The next, it talks about his past, how he had a father who he didn't have a wonderful relationship with, a father that wasn't around for him very much. And then now he's a father, right? And now he wants the best for his kids. That great line, if I had one wish, it'd be that your sins would be your own, right? And like as a father, this song has become more meaningful to me over time. And, that's a line that just resonates with me. And probably should with just about anybody that's ever been a parent. We want to instill values that we think are right and that we think are good in our children. But then at the same time, like, we kind of want them to make their own mistakes, right? We kind of want them to learn. We kind of want them to make their own decisions. We want their sins to be their own, right? But let's be real. All along, like, no matter what we're trying to teach them or what we're trying to instill, we're fucking them up along the way. Right? That's a blunt way of putting it, but it's true. And I've always joked with friends of mine that not only should I be putting aside money for Sam and Inez's college, but I should also be putting aside money for the inevitable therapy that they're going to have to go through life as an adult, to work out all their mommy and daddy issues, right? I feel like it's only fair. Moving on, finally in the last verse, it's addressing the course corrections, the changes that the narrator's trying to make. And there he is, lying under the stars, his wife in his arms, their two children lying beside them in a sleeping bag. And then he reaches over and puts his hand on his wife's belly to feel a third kicking inside. And then the line is, and I ain't gonna fuck it up this time. It's again, just the everything that goes through, in this case, a father's mind, thinking about the family all the time. That's what I do. I think about my family all the time. I can't shut it off. I want to sometimes, and I just can't. It's even coming up in my VC videos, right? But yeah, it's just a great song, an excellent character study, and yet at the same time, something that's very profound that reaches the core of a lot of his listeners. Long time coming at number 8. All right, number 7, I have, for me personally, is Sherry Darling off of The River from 1980. It's just a fun R&B tune, classic R&B. It kind of gives us a look into Bruce's sense of humor, right? This kind of blue-collar, wise guy narrative, talking about a guy in a relationship, but yet now he's taking on this package deal, which is an annoying mother of his girlfriend that he has to put up with every single day. Ultimately, the song is saying, you know what, Sherry? It's me or your loud-ass mama, right? I just love the production of it, the kind of raucous, pre-recorded kind of like ambiance of people at a party, or kind of like at one of those old school hops or something, it also kind of reminds me of like how the live audience sounds in Sam Cooke's like Live from the Harlem Square Club, or probably other similar recordings that people that were recorded in a club. Except this is obviously manufactured, but it still sounds cool, and to me it's fun. This was one of the songs that Bruce had that he was playing around with on the sessions for Darkness. He just kind of needed to step away from the recording of that album and the sequencing of that album, and just kind of step away and have some fun and work on some other songs, just to kind of break away and have a bit of a breather. And if anybody's seen there's a great documentary about the recording of Darkness on the Edge of Town, and there's a scene in there where Bruce and Steven are at the piano, and Steven's playing the piano and singing the song, and Steven's in the background or right beside him, and he's got like these drumsticks, and he's just drumming the sticks on like a pad or something, like on top of the piano, and singing like his background vocals to it, and it's just fantastic. And it's just so fun to see those guys. And then it cuts to an interview where Steven's talking about that and talking about those specific songs. A lot of those songs, some of them ended up on the river, like this one. Some of them didn't show up until they put out tracks. And Steven talks about a lot of those songs and how Bruce could have been one of the great just pop songwriters of all time. And Steven loves those songs. He loves those songs. Like, those are the ones that really resonate with him. But Bruce wasn't interested in that, right? Like, he would write these songs, but he felt like if they didn't truly represent him as an artist, he would either share them with somebody else, like Because of the Night, which I still feel like would have really worked for him. But she was able to finish it, put her touches on it. And then a song like Fire, or just all the other tracks that ended up on tracks. And Bruce was just kind of more interested in the pursuit of truth, right? I think pop songwriting is a little bit more about escape. And Bruce is more in it for the nitty gritty, right? He's in it for the truth. And I don't know, just thought that was worth bringing up. But yeah, this song is totally fun. All right, so moving on. At number 6, we have Racing in the Street off of Darkness on the Edge of Town from 1978. Full disclosure, we're being honest here. I don't know shit about cars. I biologically qualify as a man, but as far as the Tim Allen test goes, dated reference, how about a VC reference? As far as the Eric Weinbender test goes, or maybe the Jeff Kempen test, right? Put a power tool in my hand, guys, and the chances are higher that I'm going to the hospital than anything getting fixed. Interesting enough, though, on my wife's side of the family, cars are a big deal. My father-in-law has worked the majority of his professional life in stock car racing. That's a big deal around here. It was born here. For those in the know, I'll do some name drops for people who don't know anything about stock car racing. Sorry, you have to deal with it. I'm not even a big fan of it. I just know about it. So, he worked for Junior Johnson, when Junior Johnson was a team owner. He worked the pits for Alan Kulwicki. He then later on became a shop foreman for Roush Racing, had different drivers, cars that he handled. I think Jeff Burton might have been one, but and I probably didn't even get the guy's name right. He then later on went to work for Richard Petty Motorsports as a shop foreman, and now he has a very interesting job. He works for Ray Evernham, and they have several clients, cars that they just kind of maintain for those clients. And one of their clients is Scott Borchetta, who discovered Taylor Swift. And they've been in the news, the music news recently. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. He's been to like his house, is like he has like a mansion in Nashville, you know, and everything. It's kind of cool, kind of fun. But yeah, also my wife's grandfather on her mother's side is a gearhead, and his name's Nelson. And the first couple of like Thanksgiving, Christmas events that I attended with my wife, Nelson would talk to me when he kind of had me alone. He'd start talking to me about cars and like some, you know, like I know some boy, you know, over across town or out down a few roads who's working on some type of car, and he'd just go all into the details of it and why it wasn't running, why they were having troubles getting it running and everything. And I am just in grin and bear it. That's all I'm doing. Grin and bear it, right? And I'm just like, just look interested. Yeah, okay. Oh, wow, man, really? And just praying inside my soul, just praying. And I don't pray inside to just say, please don't ask for my feedback. Please don't ask me to reciprocate or participate further in this conversation. It's quite the ordeal. And if you ever wanted to be a fly on the wall in my life, that would be a pretty entertaining moment. But anyway, racing in the street. Olive Darkness on the Edge of Town. Song is about a very specific way of life. Like a lot of songs on this album, Bruce was moving away from writing so much about kind of the East Coast life, the East Coast swagger. He wanted to tap into other characters from other parts of the United States, specifically, and even more specifically, you know, Middle America. You know, I haven't really thought about this, and I haven't really researched it or thought about it, but just off the top of my head, and there are probably others, there's a couple others I can think about, but this album, there's a decent argument that this album invented Heartland Rock. Racing in the Street, again, a song about a very specific way of life, a song about a man who just can't find any other joy in life other than street racing. You know, it's what he lives for. It's what he talks about living for. And, you know, he even goes on to meet a woman. He meets the love of his, I guess what we're supposed to accept as the love of his life. I will just refer to her as his wife, even though it never says that. You know, while he's street racing, he kind of steals her from another dude. And, you know, they go on to live not so happily ever after. Because he talks about how she just sits at home alone, waiting for him to come home at night. That's what her life has become. She made a choice to be with him, and yet she just spends her life despondently waiting on him, you know, waiting on him. It's sad. It's a sad tale. full of nostalgia, but it's a cautionary tale. I think that maybe towards the end of the song, the narrator is trying to find some redemption and talking about, me and my baby go down to I can't remember exactly, the sea or the ocean or whatever. Yeah, ride towards the sea, I think is what it is. But it's still, no matter what he talks about, it always comes back to, it's the street racing that he lives for. He can't give it up. He just can't give it up. The brilliantly placed song. It's at the end of side one, and that really works for the way the song finishes up. I love the arrangement of it. It's all centered around piano, and the instrumentation throughout the song, it kind of comes in and out, and especially at the end, it drops completely out, and then the piano comes back in, and then one by one the other instruments come back in, the organ, and then the bass, and then a hard, or not hard, but like a light tap on the edge of the snare from the drums, until it really kicks in with the guitar, and then the outro, it just plays out. And every time I hear that section of that song, I feel like it's kind of filling in the gaps of the story that you're not being told. I kind of picture like a music video in my head, and it's like this chopped up narrative, kind of like a Terrence Malick film about street racing, something like that. It's it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous song. I was able to take my wife to see Bruce for the first time, for her first time, and they played this song, and I had just gotten up to get a stupid beer, and they started the song, and I was like freaking out because I wasn't in my seat. But I got back, somewhere in the, probably the second verse, I think, and I got back to my seat, and my wife was just locked in, right? And when it was over, she was just, just crying. And Bruce made me cry. Other people have made me cry a lot. Live music has a profound effect on me. But yeah, to see, she is a bigger Bruce fan now, especially that Sam's all into him. But, she wasn't like a huge Bruce Springsteen fan at the time, but just to see that song and that moment affect her in that way, it was a beautiful thing. I kind of can't help but wonder if there was something that made her think about her dad or not. But anyway, Racing the Street, fantastic, fantastic song. And number 6.